Welcome back to the Matt Selection, our first show, 2012. Our next guest is the author of all of these textbooks that you, or all these books rather, that you see on my desk. Please welcome Stephen T. Johnson to the show. Stephen, thanks so much for being on the show.
Pleasure. Nice to meet you.
Now, there's a lot of children's books up here, Stephen T. Johnson. How did you get involved in children's books, and what was the idea behind them?
Well, I lived in New York City for 13 years, and I had a friend that worked at Dial Publishing in New York, and I was doing Time magazine covers and record covers, and I loved that illustration aspect of being a freelance artist. I graduated from KU here and moved directly to New York, and that was my dream, to do Time covers and record covers. And oddly enough, everything went to CDs right about late 80s, but I did sneak in a Louis Armstrong album cover, which was great. But then I hadn't really considered children's books because of the amount of time and effort and the money at the time, Sure. So, but I did was offered a couple books and did those, and then eventually came up with my own book ideas, and the first one was Alphabet City.
Yes, and which has a award-winning book as well. That must be very cool for you.
It is very cool, yeah.
Also, I want to talk about the robot that we have here on the far left. I know that hasn't come out yet. I really liked how these children's books are very interactive. What can you tell us about the robot, too? Well,
the robot is an outgrowth of these interactive books. My very first one is called My Little Red Toolbox, and it was an idea I had about just a simple counting and shapes that are in a book. And I illustrate and engineer and write all these books, by the way, just so you know. And there's this thing about textbooks and picture books. So these are, picture books. And so, anyway, the robot was a growth from the, I wanted a concept of I loved robots as a kid, so I wanted to create something where you could build a robot out of a book and put them back, no mess. And it has counting and shapes and colors, so you build the head first and you work all the way down to the chest piece, which then you put a heart in, and there's a little special surprise. So.
And you've been doing a program with fourth graders, correct, showing these books to them. What's been the reaction?
Oh, this is a wonderful program, and thanks to U.S. Bank, who has a grant every year that's called Imagination Highway, and they provide funds for an artist, an illustrator, or author to come and speak to every single fourth grader in the schools system here. So I've been going around, and it's just great. Fourth grade is such a great age. The kids have tons of questions, and they're passionate about writing and art, and it's a wonderful venue for me to share what I do.
Now, besides children's books, you do have a lot of public pieces of art out there, too. You've had Art at Smithsonian, the Leeds Center, Spencer. We have a couple pictures now. When you're doing these pieces, how long does something like this take? What's your thought process when these pieces are when you're doing these?
Wow, interesting question. These are hard-won commissions where you apply. It's like a cattle call, maybe like acting. You get
sure.
And then you're called from a group of whoever submits, and then they have 4 or 5 finalists, and then you do a proposal, and then hopefully you win. Right now I just won a piece for the Love Field Airport in Dallas, so I'm working on some glass pieces for that. And so anyway, it's kind of exciting. And I love the space, the public space, just how do you deal with different space and create artwork for that space, which is in a way kind of a growth from the books, because the books is a space, and how do you edit and have a narrative within that context, and public space is a different kind of a venue.
I always like asking artists this too. When you show a piece, when you show your work like you're going to do here in Kansas City coming up in March, are you nervous? Are you fearful they're going to be like, this is terrible? Or are you like, I know this is good, they can have their own reaction to it, that's for them, I know it's good. What is your thought process when you show something like in New York, or you're showing something in Kansas City? Are you nervous at all?
Interesting question. No, I'm pretty confident in the work, and I hope at least with my work that it transcends ages, so that I would do work for kids, but then it speaks to your grandmother, and it speaks hopefully to the art critic in between, who knows a lot about references that I might be using. So I'm pretty confident that the work is well received. If not, it's still interesting to have it up.
When you go to places like New York or DC, Do you find that there's a stigma that they associate with like Midwestern artists or Kansas artists, or they think, oh, we're New York artists, we're this or that? Is there a stigma with artists based, where they're at? Do they kind of look at Midwest artists differently in those areas of the United States?
Well, I think kind of, maybe not, because many of the famous artists that we know are from elsewhere. They're from the Midwest, and there's so much talent here. And actually, being from Kansas, living in New York is a great thing because people know about Kansas. It's a little bit difficult if you're in the neighboring states. They don't quite know.
Okay.
Nebraska, for example. But, sorry, Nebraska. But the,
Don't apologize to those people.
That's right.
there's good folks in Nebraska. There's some fantastic artists and art centers and everything. And, but, Kansas being where it is, situated in the middle of the states. And when I first moved there was a great T-shirt we got. It says, "I can't believe I'm in Kansas." It's a big gun,
Right.
So that was popular back then.
We're going to take a quick break. We're going to come back with more Stephen T. Johnson right after these messages. Now, Stephen, we were just talking about Midwestern artists. I asked, when Stan Hurd was on, I asked him this too. What is about Lawrence that artists tend to gravitate towards? You worked in New York, you grew up in Lawrence here, but you stay here. Why is Lawrence a big artist town, and why do you think a lot of the creativity is in this city?
Well, Lawrence is just a hotbed of talent. I mean, I always think of Lawrence as people, you're known for one thing, say you teach at the university, but all of a sudden, my goodness, I didn't know you taught skydiving. And you're a gourmet cook, or you do a number of different things, and the levels and layers of people here are really, really fascinating. And there's just a lot of talent. For example, the book I have called A is for Art and Abstract Alphabet, I ended up taking 6 years to create a lot of this artwork, and then I found a lot of folks here that helped me, like the Waxman Candles Bob over there helped me with my W pieces, which are wool, and they're dunked in wax, so I needed access to wax, and I can give you a whole list. But at the back of the book, I actually thank everybody that I hired and used, and by and large, they're from Lawrence.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a rich community.
In March 3rd, you're going to show some work we talked about at Kansas City. What can you tell us about this show at March 3rd at the library?
Well, it'll be an exciting show. I have not shown a solo work, or rather a solo exhibition in Kansas City, so it'll be the Downtown Public Library, and we'll feature much as we can fit in there of my alphabet series, from my abstract alphabet to my alphabet city. And in fact, there's an original one right there. And then I'm also going to be showing at my dealer in Kansas City, Kim Weinberger Fine Art, and we're going to have more of my abstracts and that kind of work there. So it'll be exciting.
Now, do you follow politics or anyone? Can you do an art piece about the caucuses happening?
Well, I think I could have a book called C is for Caucus.
Yes. I would read that book.
I think it'll be.
Good enough for me. She is good enough.
I think I've sold some right now.
But I want to thank you so much, Stephen T. Johnson, for being on the show.
Hey, thanks, Mike. Thank you, guys.
Check him out March 3rd. Coming back, more Not So Late Show yet to come.